I call this meeting to order, the Criminal Justice Authority. Mrs. Campisi, would you please call the roll? Yes.
Present.
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 We have a quorum. Mrs. Perkins, would you lead us in our nation's pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. This meeting, the notice was properly posted on May 10th, 2024. We are here now for our citizen participation. I have one person who's wanting to speak, Mr. Eddie. It's good to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Yes, sir. I want to call to address the 138,000, I believe, that we made last month off inmate phone calls. I think it's unconscionable to profit in that manner off this population and their families. A call from a U.S. jail can, I'm going to read this article to you here. A call from a U.S. jail can cost up to $22 for 15 minutes. Such exorbitant prices are imposed by telecommunication providers that negotiate contracts with local and state government. Exorbitant prices for phone calls prevent incarcerated people from contacting loved ones. As a result, low-income families often face the choice between talking with loved ones and keeping the lights on. The artificially high costs of prison phone calls isolate incarcerated people, burden their families, and limit their access to counsel. Prohibitively high costs of connection also serve to isolate incarcerated people in the long term. Research shows that incarcerated people who maintain supportive relationships with family members have better outcomes, such as stable housing and employment when they return to the community. Women disproportionately bear the burden on families, paying for 87% of the visitation and phone costs for incarcerated people. A quarter of all women and 2 in 5 Black women are related to someone who is incarcerated. Estimates suggest that 69% of families are unable to maintain contact with incarcerated family members due to the cost of phone calls. I simply would ask that we continue to revisit this. There are means and mechanisms and contracts to provide free phone calls, or at least at a cost that helps us break even. This is not a point where we should be making in excess of $1 million a year on people. I've been pushing this issue. It is deeply immoral. I understand needing to pay for the price of the call to that extent, but to make this kind of money off of that population and their families is deeply problematic, and I would request the trust address that with haste. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eddie. Without objection, we have one item 8, that we are going to scratch from the agenda because the agreement is not ready yet with Vicinity Energy. Any objection? All right. So that may help everybody's time. Now we have the approval of the minutes. I hope you've all had time to review the minutes. Any questions, objections, additions? If not, then I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. We're going to vote to approve the meeting minutes from April 8th. Please vote electronically. Mrs. Campisi, please call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Must be your turn.
It is.
This computer doesn't cooperate with me. What a surprise. Item 2 is Mrs. Garner and her report.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are y'all? Same. So in this report, I'm going to give the usual updates that I do. I'm going to discuss the largest academy that we've had to date under the administration of by the Criminal Justice Authority. I'll talk about some of our training initiatives, what we're doing to recruit people, talk about Correctional Employee Week, some infrastructure items, and then some of our statistics. First, I just wanted to address that we did have an officer that was charged criminally with assault. That individual, we put him on unpaid leave pending the outcome of the investigation. Once we determined that we had enough probable cause, we terminated him, and it's in the hands of the district attorney. Just wanted that on record. So our employee update, we are currently at 273 employees, and 164 of those are detention certified. If you compare that to August of last year, we were at 119. So we have made great strides in our recruiting efforts. There's some demographics of the charts. I believe you all have those in front of you. I'm not going to belabor the point on those, but it's just really important that we recognize that we have moved forward in the right direction as far as detention staff goes. CIT training will be included in this academy, and this is as I mentioned before, it is the largest academy we had. We had 42, 5 have dropped out, and which is expected. They get in there and they realize that it's maybe more difficult than they anticipated. But when the CIT stuff happens, we will have space available to send additional staff that are there. My goal would be for us to have the large majority of our staff CIT certified by the end of the year. Oh, I do want to point out that some of the things that we've done for our academy, you'll notice that they all have cadet t-shirts on. We wanted some uniformity, but allow them to also PT. We are also doing our PT because we have such a large class. We're doing it at Scissortail Park every morning. They really seem to be enjoying that. It's a nice area for them to spread out and get a lot of reps in. So very, very happy with that agreement. Our employee recruitment initiatives, this is something that hasn't changed since the last time. We're still doing the longevity pay. We're still giving out bonuses at 1 year and then at their 2nd year of employment. We are giving out performance bonuses. So for instance, this goal was to fill our academy with a certain number of people, and I really implored staff to make sure that they were ambassadors for our agency, talking about all of the benefits of working there, and it worked. They started sharing on social media. We had cards made that had a QR code that took them directly to the application. It talked about all the benefits. They picked up, we had to have a second order of them because they were picking up and handing out so many. And I think that really went a long way to help us recruit. We also, through Tyler Media, we were able to get the billboards in place, and we have bus benches that are all over the metro area. I think all of those things combined is really helping a lot with our recruitment. We still have applications pouring in every day, and that is so encouraging because we have another academy in 3 months that we need to fill. Hopefully we can get to 50, and if we do, that's going to put us really close to our FTE by the time it's all said and done. Correctional Officer Appreciation Week was last week, so a lot of our effort has just been focused on showing appreciation to the staff there. We had daily drawings with gift cards. We had grand prize drawings on Friday for donated housewares. Thank you, Pastor Scobie. We gave out popcorn on certain days, cupcakes, ice cream. We had a fajita bar one day. We had a cookout another day. We even had chair massages available for our staff if they signed up. And then, of course, we ended it with gift bags for all of our staff. It just had goodies and a personal message in it, just saying thank you for your service. Overall, the feedback on that was very positive. I think that they do feel like they were appreciated, and I just appreciate all of your support in those efforts. Friday, we did have a Mother's Day Hope event that was hosted by Prison Fellowship Academy. We had 30 attendees, and the weather was delightful, so they were able to go on the 13th floor in the outdoor area, and they got fresh air and sunshine. It was a great event. Music was provided, and then they had testimonials and prayer, and I think that most of the attendees left feeling very encouraged. Some of our staff training and professional development. We did go to the National Institute of Corrections and learned more about how to manage our restrictive housing. We went with the specific goal to reduce the amount of people that we have on restrictive housing, specifically people that have mental illness. We came back with a plan. It helped us overcome a lot of the challenges that we are faced with, and we're in the beginning stages of implementing that plan. Also sent some of our staff to background investigations for law enforcement in Wichita Falls recently, just so we can have additional staff available to conduct backgrounds, because we are getting an influx of applicants, making sure that we are not cutting corners on our backgrounds just to get people through the door. And then in August, we are still planning on sending quite a few people to the American Correctional Association conference. There's an application that I'm having them fill out that asks some questions related to how they exhibit our mission, vision, and values, what their plans are for progressing within the agency, just to kind of gauge their level of commitment and performance. And then we'll have a selection committee that'll convene and review those applications in conjunction with their performance, attendance, and anything else that's relevant, and to make those selections. Something else, and you're going to see this on the agenda later for approval, it's for cross-commissioning with the district attorney's office. This is a pretty big deal. It really will help us out a lot. It enhances collaboration, and it enhances our capabilities to be able to investigate things that are happening, not only within the detention facility, but anything that has a nexus to something like bringing in contraband. You know, there's always somebody that's bringing in that contraband. They're receiving that contraband from somebody outside of the facility. It'll enable us to have concurrent jurisdiction. And of course, I mentioned like the collaboration with certain investigations, specifically the Oklahoma Uniform Controlled Dangerous Substances Act. It has heightened accountability. It promotes greater accountability among law enforcement officers as they operate under oversight of both entities, and fosters a culture of transparency and responsibility. And it allows us to be thorough and timely in our investigations, rather than pass off information that we have onto external partners and relying on them to follow up on the investigation. And I'm hoping that it does contribute to the overall safety of the facility, and it is a deterrent for people who might be considering bringing in contraband. As far as our infrastructure goes, we will be implementing a visitor badge system, hopefully by the end of this week. That's the picture on the lower left. It's a visitor badge system. So they go in, they scan their ID, they enter their information. It'll print out a temporary sticker badge that they have to wear. It's valid for that day only. It enables us to know who is in the facility at any given time. Anybody that comes in, like a professional visit, attorneys, bondsmen, we're gonna give them a hard badge that they can use to scan in. There's going to be an agreement that they have to sign with the understanding that they're not going to violate any of our rules while they're there, and what the expectation is by having that badge. And the really cool thing is that if somebody comes in and let's say they're checking in for an interview, they can check in on the kiosk and it'll notify the person that they're interviewing with that they're there. So it'll be a time saver for the people that are at the information desk, so they won't have to physically check all those people in. We're still working on the employee gate and Shard-Held gate repairs. They continually go down, and so we're looking at some different systems in order to get those more operational and make them more secure. I believe there is a technology piece that's involved with that, so it allows us to have better visual on who is actually at the gate. Later on the agenda, Greg Couch will be presenting the radio agreement. I'll let him talk more about that, but essentially it allows us to connect to the Oklahoma City system, which provides us the ability to call for help on transports or at the hospital if necessary, call for backup and assistance. And the other side of this is that we'll have a base station and central control, so officers can call in when they're at the gate instead of having to use their personal cell phones to make a call and try to gain access into the gate. And then we have been installing additional cameras as we identify blind spots. Friday, we held our second staff town hall meeting. My goal for these is to keep these informal and lighthearted. Yes, we're going to share some information, but I want people to feel as if we are a community, and I didn't want it to be a stuffy meeting. So this time we had a lot of engagement. The first time that we had it, we didn't have a lot of people that were chatting back and forth, but they really got involved, and it was really encouraging that they felt safe enough to ask the questions that have been on their mind for a while. I think it helped dispel some rumors that might have been going around, which was really beneficial for everybody. And at the end, we started recognizing staff for their accomplishments and their achievements. We had 2 officers that recently graduated college, and we were able to recognize them for that. And then some of the things that they do daily that they maybe don't get recognition for, we were able to recognize them, and I think they were very appreciative of that. We're going to do that once a month, and after every town hall, I send out a survey just to kind of gauge what we can do better, fully recognizing that they're not exactly where we probably need them to be, but that's the way that we need to improve. I want them to be tailored to what our staff wants to see in those meetings. This just goes a little bit more in depth into the NIC training. Like I said, we went to the National Corrections Academy in Aurora, Colorado. It was myself, Captain Toki, and our Health Services Administrator, Donna Hansen. It was a 4-day program. It provided us management strategies, and we got to hear from other facilities around the United States on what they're doing and what challenges they have. And overall, it was a great training. And like I said, in the meeting or in the training itself, we developed a plan, put it on paper, and we've brought it home, and Captain Itoki is working to implement that. And the goal was to reduce restrictive housing amongst our population with mental illness. Friday, we had 2 officers graduate CLEAT. They are now basic peace officers. We have Lieutenant Fields. He is a shift commander, and he maintains that he's coming for my job. And then we have Staff Sergeant Kenny, and he is currently a unit manager, but he's also our defensive tactics instructor. He got a lot of accolades in the CLEAT Academy for his technique and skill. He's been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for quite a while. So he will be doing the defensive tactics for our current academy right now. Just some of our top charges for April 2024. Possession of CDS continues to be at the top of those charts. Domestic A&B, firearm by felon, all of those are, and DUI seem to be our top charges. And we do have about 12% of the people that were booked in April that were brought in simply on a hold. Our daily head count is increasing slightly. We've booked in an average of about 58 people every day during the month of April. Our average population was 1,278, and the average length of stay for people that were booked in April is 6.88 days. And this is just to be expected as you get into the summer months. Jail populations do tend to climb. Our special housing really hasn't changed a whole lot. Our DOC numbers, they're pretty steady. I mean, the chart's there, and you can kind of review the information. If you have questions, just let me know. As of May 7th, our population was 1,268. Compared to 2023, on the same date, it was 1,494. We have 39 people that are veterans, 29 people that report homelessness, 106 people that are DOC sentenced, 134 that are age 50 or older, and then 7 that were waiting for transport to Oklahoma Forensic Center. And then 85% of our population is male, 15% is female. That's about average for national averages. Our current population by agency, 65% of the people that are currently in our population were brought in by Oklahoma City Police Department. 18% were brought in by the Sheriff's Office, and then it just kind of trickles on down with all the other agencies that are bringing people into us. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions? Comments,
Questions for Mrs.
concerns?
Garner? I have one on the trip to back east. Where are you going, Charlotte, in August?
Nashville.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah.
Nashville. Have we created a preliminary budget for that so we could see how that fits into our? Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Right now, we're still currently pricing out the cost of renting vehicles because we don't have any vehicles that are going to make it that far versus the flying and just trying to figure out the transportation piece. But yeah,
I have to tell you, I'm impressed with the academy numbers this month.
I
Very
am too.
impressed.
I am too.
And the fact that we're over 160 detention officers, where I remember we were down to the low one teens not that long ago.
Yes.
So your staff has to be complimented,
They worked very hard.
especially the recruitment staff and the folks, the men and women who are training these young folks.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy job to be a trainer.
No, it's not.
You know,
It's definitely
challenging at times.
Well, and with a class this size, it's definitely been a challenge. But they're doing spectacular. Very proud of our team.
Anyone else have any questions for Mrs. Gardner? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept her report.
Motion received.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. We accept Chief Executive Officer's Randy Gardner's report. Vote electronically. Mrs. Campisi, please call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And you're still up,
I am.
Mrs. Garner. This is the cross commissioning, item number 3. Please proceed.
Well, I covered most of it during my presentation. Like I said, this helps us quite a bit as far as being able to follow up on our own investigations. It also gives us assistance if we need it. We can ask for assistance and vice versa. The collaboration that can result from this is only a benefit to not only us, but also the district attorney's office.
Tell me who qualifies for this.
So it has to be somebody that is CLEAT certified as a basic peace officer. Right now, we're looking at just getting a handful of people that cross commissioning.
And we have over 20 that are CLEAT certified.
Yes, I think the number's around 22. Don't quote me on that though.
That sounds about right. But
Yeah.
so what number out of that group would you, 5 or 6, start with?
Yeah.
Small group?
It would be 5 or 6. We'd limit it to investigators and those that we believe would benefit from having that cross commission agreement.
Does this require an MOU with the DA's office?
It does, and it's attached to the agenda.
It is attached to the
It
agenda.
is, and it lays out the parameters of how we
I
would be
haven't seen
using
that.
that.
There it is. Okay, any questions for Mrs. Garner on this subject? If not, there is an attachment that shows the MOU. And I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read it, quite frankly. I don't know that it was attached to our,
It's signed off by Vicky Banana.
okay,
I trust her.
is that, do you? Good enough for me.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Thank you very much. Is there a second? Thank you.
Thank you.
We're voting on the MOU to join in with Mrs. Bahena and her office on cross commissioning. Please vote electronically. Mrs. Campisi, call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Garner. Now, if I can operate this silly machine. Mr. Sherman, how did you know you're up next? Number 4.
I was looking at the agenda.
Ah, sorry. I think that was a shot, folks.
Okay, just to give you a quick synopsis on where we are as far as today is after the end of April. Of course, all the supporting documentation is attached. Total income for April was $3,104,535, which gave us an unfavorable variance of $124,790. And of course, most of our revenue comes from Oklahoma County. Our other sources of income for the month were Department of Corrections, 78,246 for March boarding, which is substantially lower than is low. It's below by $71,754. Our telephone revenue was $135,261, which was above budget by $5,261. Our commissary revenue was $48,496, which was below budget by $11,504. And our municipalities contract boarding revenue was $842, and the Oklahoma City contract is still pending. As far as expenses for April, it was $3,751,672 for an unfavorable variance to the budget of $531,976. Our salaries, wages, and benefits totaled $1,654,761 for the month, which was below budget by $174,491. Resident on-site medical care was $666,226 for turnkey. Our resident off-site medical care was $67,298, which was actually below budget by $702. Resident food bills of $382,102 were for 2 months because of billing errors. So part of the reason that we're so below this particular month is that we paid two months worth of Summit. That's part of the reason. Of course, the income was down also. And our professional service and legal fees was $21,354. Our other services fees were $18,490, which that was for painters, janitorial service, and professional consultations. On the painters, they are still working on, which pod was it? So they're on the 6th floor right now, repainting the 6th floor pods. And then the telecommunications equipment for the ARPA networking project was $285,764, which accounts for the other large portion of the deficit, but that will be reimbursed from the county. Oh, and I'm sorry, I missed telecommunication services were $65,080. $57,418 will be reimbursed from the county for the ARPA networking project. So for the month of April 2024, jail operations produced a net loss for the month of $647,137. Of course, it was mainly due to lower revenue, food bills, which were not paid for the previous months, and then the ARPA networking project.
Mr. Sherman, what is the holdup with Oklahoma City? I mean, we're 48 days from the end of the fiscal year.
We've given them, they requested information from us on personnel, and for some reason they asked about what it was going to cost to redo the intake portion of the jail. So I sent them all the information they requested, and just waiting to hear from Jason Fairbush.
Are you suggesting they may step forward and help us pay for that?
I'm definitely not suggesting that, sir. That would be great, but I'm not suggesting.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how we square things. We're 65% of our population came in this month. We don't have a contract with them. We're bleeding on the money side for our overnight people at the jail. I mean, how do we bring this to a head? Any ideas?
I will call Jason today and tell him we need to
Yeah,
meet.
I think we'd all like to know and not be in the switch we were last year, where we were voting on, in a special meeting, if I remember correctly, to approve all these cotton picking contracts.
I will get with Jason today, sir.
Just a little bothered by the push off.
I don't disagree.
Any other questions for Mr. Sherman, Reverend?
Yes, thank you for the report that you have given. And allow me to preface my statement with, I have had no conversation with Jess Eddy relating to what I am going to talk about. And I brought this up before. So when I look at the report that Director Garner gave and the current population of the jail being 45% Black, I was appointed by Commissioner Kerry Bloomer, and I represent what would be really the northeast quadrant of Oklahoma City, which would be predominantly Black. And we have 45% of the detainees in the Oklahoma County Detention Center that are Black. And we have about 11% of Black folks that make up Oklahoma County. Now, I understand that every one of these 45% of Black people that are here do not have roots in Oklahoma County / the northeast quadrant of Oklahoma City. But I would bet my life on that at least 35% either are A, from the northeast quadrant, or B, say it the way I want to, their grandmama is from the northeast quadrant of Oklahoma City. So it is hard for me to swallow. And again, I've said it before, but I've just not gone this far. It's hard for me to swallow how in the world that we as trustees for the Oklahoma County Jail Trust can be okay with making $138,000 a month off of the backs of the great majority being Black folks. I got a problem with that because Mama and Big Mama and Aunt Ruby and Aunt Helen, they don't have the money. Majority of them don't. And we can't say that this, I'm not fussing at you. It's just you there at the lectern, so I'm directing it towards you. But we cannot say, well, they got themselves in their pickles, so that's what they got to pay and blah, blah, blah. Because Big Mama didn't necessarily do it, but Big Mama has to take the conversation, the call. And what we don't know is sometimes Big Mama is the only one that can talk Ray Ray off the ledge. So Ray, JoJo needs to have as many conversations as possible with Big Mama. So I don't know what this looks like, and y'all can shoot me, but I can't swallow $138,000 a month profit on the backs again of the great majority of Black folks. Be mad at me, everybody. We built this country on the backs of Black folks. It's just not right. That's all I got to say about it.
I did. So Mr. Eddy said that there were some other companies that the cost wouldn't be that high. I mean, I had this presented to me for the juvenile facility, and I said no, because, you know, the parents of these kids are out a lot of money for court and et cetera, and to come in, it would make the job of my staff easier, but I wasn't going to do it at the cost of to the family. So are there have we investigated other companies that the cost would not be that high and we break even or whatever?
We absolutely can look into that.
So before we entered into this contract with NCIC, we did a lot of research. We are actually at the lowest price point per minute than anybody else in the state. We're at 11 cents a minute. A lot of people are at 15, 18, 20 cents a minute. I'm not saying that's any better. I'm just saying we are at one of the lowest rates, even below the FCC required minimum or maximum. So we did a lot of research before we went to this company.
And I hope people understand this is not even long distance. It's just if you make a call that's 2 miles away, correct?
Correct. It is.
And I do understand about we're at the lowest at this 11 cents per minute. But if we look at how many minutes were utilized by detainees over a period of a month, and then we look at how much we received from this company as, I'm not going to use the term kickback because, it's all, on the up and up, but if we were to look to see how many minutes that were utilized, then how much we received per month, then obviously we can back into that to see how much that would actually go down. If this number was 0, how much that would go down per minute from 11 cents down to what? Is that 6 cents? Is that 5 cents? I don't know. And listen, I have enough good sense to know that we need every dollar, every cent that we can get to run this Oklahoma County Detention Center because of the fact that the budget board does not give the amount of money that's needed on a yearly basis to operate the Oklahoma County Detention Center. So I have good enough sense to know that. But to put that again on the backs of these families, and let me take it a step further. These are the most vulnerable people in Oklahoma County that reside there. They're the most vulnerable people, whether they're black, white, purple, yellow, whatever, they're the most vulnerable people. So why do we want to pass on to the most vulnerable people in Oklahoma County these exorbitant costs? Just something for us to all think about. And so what I believe from my faith tradition, that when you do right unto other people, it has a way to kind of come back to you. So maybe if we consider doing away with this, maybe money comes from somewhere else. I know it doesn't grow on trees, but maybe it'll come from somewhere else because what we're doing is not right. It's just not right.
Anyone else? No?
No, I
Yes.
was just going to make a motion to receive the financial report from Mr. Sherman.
All right, motion made. Is there a second? Thank you. Vote electronically, and we're voting to receive Mr. Sherman's report. Ms. Kambezi? Yes.
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 I have to say, Trevor and I have been in this business for a long time. I've always been bothered by that. It seems to me that we ought to bend over backwards with our vendor and figure out other ways to backstop that cost. I don't know if that's possible or not. But it does cause, I think, each and every one of us heartburn when you see that amount. And I haven't had any conversations with any trustees about this, but it does bother me. And I know we have to have every dollar we need. We're not making it the way it is, quite frankly. We're under budgeted, which brings me back to the Oklahoma City contract. I do not understand for the life of me why they can't step forward since they're providing the vast majority of our population. But this, as a single issue, is an irritant, I would say, to everyone.
We can definitely look for alternatives.
Yeah.
Chair Alba, I just want to publicly say thank you for your acknowledgement and your affirmation.
Well,
Doesn't mean we could do something about it today, but just thank you for even acknowledging that there's a problem.
it's been a serious problem in any system that I've run. And it's something you go to bed with. That's a burden every night. I don't like it. I don't like to put those burdens on anybody. let alone individuals that are incarcerated for whatever period of time. We can't get them enough training the way it is in this state. Doesn't matter where you're incarcerated. There's no training to return to society. And as a matter of fact, the vast majority of those folks, I shouldn't say the vast majority, a large majority of those folks will return to their old practices because they don't know how to fit back into society. And that burden is on the citizens of Oklahoma. So I'm not trying to be hot about this, but the Oklahoma City contract is inexcusable for us to go this long without. And having said that, I think we better move forward. Oh, sorry, you have, I'm sorry, invoices and claims that we need to take care of. I went
Yes,
right
sir.
over that.
Does everybody have copies of them?
Do we have copies? Oh, in the computer. Such an easy computer to operate. Please tell Jeff that next time. Oh, this is a county deal, isn't it? Well, let's see if we can talk to our county commissioners. Great Caesar's ghost.
I would tell you that the county clerk's office is right down the hallway. Please feel free to talk to her.
Oh, you're bucking the, I see, the responsibility.
No. You know better.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the invoices
Motion to approve
and
claims.
contract? Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Campisi, call the roll, please. Vote electronically. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 All right. Next is, sorry, goes too far. Item number 6, VMed.
EMED,
You
yes.
have that contract? or
Yes, sir.
MOU?
Uh,
Please tell us about it.
So this is a staffing agreement. So VieMed Healthcare Staffing is a veteran-run, veteran-owned corporation that generally they provided healthcare for different places. They're trying to get into the correctional space with especially veterans that have like military police, things like that, where they can come into our facilities and fill our gaps when we need to have people come in. We don't have a statement of work yet, but we've talked about starting out with about 5 to see, once we get them vetted, to see how they work and if it really does help as far as our staffing goes until we can get our staffing back up to that FTE that we need it, which is not 320. It's higher than that, but our budgeted FTE, which is 320.
Has this contract been reviewed by the DA's office and approved?
Yes,
Any
sir.
any questions for Mr. Sherman? The answer was yes there. Okay, is there a motion to adopt this contract? And a second.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? You get it? Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Mrs. Campisi, call the roll. Please vote electronically. Yes.
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 Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Or unless you have the next item too, Service Wing Organic Solutions.
Yes, I
Tell
do.
us about it. Yes.
Okay, so Service Wing Organic Solutions, it creates. They bring a unit that's on our facility that makes. I'm not good at Ronnie. You want to come up here and help me explain this because he understands it better than I did. We went down to Houston, Harris County, and toured their facility, and they have one of these at their main facility right now. They're about to purchase 2 more for their other facilities because right now what they're doing is they're filling up 55-gallon drums at their one facility and then trucking them to their other facilities. We met with the medical director there, and she loves it. She says it's fantastic. They could drink it. The residents could drink it, and it's not going to do anything to them because but it also we did some test spots and with the chemical in a bunch of different places, and it's better than anything that we've been using. I'll let Ronnie talk a little bit more
And
about
this is going to replace our current chemical
Yes, this will replace.
stockpile?
Yes, this will replace AutoChlor, which we currently spend anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 a month, depending on when we're ordering certain chemicals. And the cost for this, the initial cost is $51,000, and once you have the machine, all we have to do is pay for upkeep on it.
Okay. Ronnie, you want to add to this?
Yes, sir. My name is Ronnie Alders, the Fire Safety Director for Oklahoma County Detention Center. And yes, Chris and I, along with Major Logan and the maintenance administrator, did go down to Harris County. We did see it. We got feedback from them at Harris County first. We brought it back here. We used it, like Chris said, throughout on some tough spots. We do have pictures of those areas. They are becoming clean. You use it once, and that area does go away. We use it on some paint that's been there a while. Just some of the shower bottoms, they did come clean, and we let them use it up on 10, 12, and 13, and they responded back that this was the best that they've had to use inside the detention center to date. And it's a big 800-gallon tank. It costs 3 to 4 cents per gallon for us to make, and it goes through salt brine, goes through this electro system, and it comes out HOCl, which is a hypochlorous acid. And today, I'll share this. I just got something from the rep today. I'm sorry, give me a quick minute. So the EPA, they've done research on this product, and it said that it is the most effective cleanup of fentanyl contaminated surfaces. So they've tried it on sheetrock, on glass, on hard surfaces, and this was one of the only products that EPA is putting their name behind as for fentanyl cleanup as far as contamination.
Wow, impressive. Any questions? And the contract includes the acquisition of the device, correct?
Yes, it does. The only thing that I don't know what the trust opinion would be, but it probably is better to have the EPA license, which if we do it for 1 year is $7,500. If we do it for 2 years, it's $14,000. If we do it for 3, it's $19,500. But that would be an additional cost. It's not a requirement. We don't have to have that, but
What's the benefit of having it then?
just because
Just,
it's EPA license.
EPA approved?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Buck.
Assuming we have assured that this will pass muster with our licensing and accrediting agencies, that use will?
Does ACA approve this?
I'm not positive.
I would suggest that diligence before initiating the purchase.
Okay.
I'm sure they do, just in a quick.
They're in a
find out
bunch
what
of
it is.
they're in a bunch of facilities, but that
Yeah.
I mean still that makes
For
sense.
one, it's
Mr. Johnson?
potable.
I was gonna say, ACA is their focus is gonna be chemical control.
Mhm.
And so regardless of whatever you have, just make sure you have another lock and key and not access. But if it's not harmful to residents there, then, what happens. But their main thing is make sure you have chemical control. You can say how much is used and where it's at and it's locked, et cetera. It's been my experience with it.
So is this a motion to go forward, or is there a motion to table? If you want to wait on the guidance?
I'm fine with the motion. That was just a cautionary statement before actually executing the agreement.
Or you can come back on the license to us, correct?
I'm sorry.
You could come back on the license request at a later time.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
I would suggest that would be a friendly amendment, so to speak. We get all the information that's been requested for, and then if we want to make the next step on acquiring the license, we can do that at a later time, but we ought to get this going if it's that good for our customers and the staff, and that protect even they can drink it and not harm them.
They,
I'm for that.
It is non-weaponizable, so they can't. I can. So let me just a brief little story. So I elected to get sprayed because it can neutralize the OC spray. So they did spray me. I did use it. It took about 4 to 5 minutes to neutralize that, but I had it, in my mouth and all that. So I have tried it. It just cannot be non-weaponizable. So if I was to try to use it as that way, it wouldn't do anything more than you're just gotten something thrown on you. But it's not at all. It cannot be used in that way.
And my understanding from last time you presented that you can use it on the bed bugs as well.
That's what we're hoping. They said we can manipulate the pH, and we are in talks with them to see if they can help us manipulate that to where we need it to be, to try to help with that also.
I appreciate the personal testimony.
Yes, sir.
Took a certain amount of intestinal fortitude to do
See,
that.
and I've never been sprayed, so I thought, why not?
Yeah. You experienced them both then.
Yes, sir.
and the other good thing about this product is that the byproduct from it, we use as a drain cleaner. And in fact, in Harris County, they were talking about the fact that in several of their drains, of course, have gnats coming up through there, that when they poured this stuff down the drain, that gets rid of all of that stuff.
That's great news. Any other questions, comments? We have motion on the floor. Mr. Johnson moved and Commissioner seconded. Please call the roll and vote electronically. Yes?
Yes.
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 As mentioned before, we set aside item number 8, so we'll move to item 9, which is, again, the trunk radio system that was referred to earlier. Mr. Couch? Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about this radio license
Could you
agreement.
speak more into the mic, please? We have outside
Gotcha.
visitors and listeners.
I'm going to be talking about this radio license agreement with the city of Oklahoma City that's pending.
So we have 2 now pending with Oklahoma City?
Sorry, it's just
You don't
one
have to
license.
respond. I'm sorry.
So this is a pending agreement with the city. On August 31st, I'll just go back in history real quick. It won't take long. On August 31st, 2000, I was an Oklahoma City police officer. On that night, we had an Oklahoma State trooper and an Oklahoma City police officer who, because they could not communicate via radio, were involved in an accident. It's a horrible accident. Both officers and the trooper and the officer were killed, as well as 2 suspects that had been pursued by the officer, the Oklahoma City officer. So that specific event was recognized by the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security as a major impetus to write a plan for interoperability improvements in law enforcement communications. So currently, our communication system is limited as far as communication outside the facility. So if an officer or anyone coming to our facility, as we know, 65% would be an Oklahoma City officer, they go to the gate, they push a button, central control has to pull up a camera and try to identify that person as an officer. As you know, there are unmarked vehicles. There are plainclothes officers who may bring somebody or need to come into our facility. And currently, we're doing that on a visual check through a pretty poor camera, in my opinion. What this would do would be of course, that's a significant security risk, and there's no backup to that system. There's no contingency plan if that system doesn't work. So this would address that. It would, the use of this Harris system is widely used by Metro Oklahoma City law enforcement agencies, as well as the county sheriff's office just went to that, or if they're not using this particular system, they are linked to it through another system. So it would provide some interoperability, and it would address our current system limitations. It would enhance our security and efficiency in who we let in our gates, and it would provide opportunities to streamline our communications between central control and outside law enforcement agencies, thereby maybe increasing or decreasing the time that they have to visit us, or, booking someone in. It's going to facilitate the quicker gate access, improve our overall efficiency, and prevent security breaches, expedite inmate processing. It'll also mitigate risk and liability. If we proactively address this communication vulnerability, that will help us from a financial perspective and a liability perspective. Obviously, if anything was to occur, then that would be extra protection for us. So as a proactive measure, us going onto this robust communication system, we're not having to pay for the system. It's already built. We will pay, as you have in your attachment A on the pending contract, the fiscal figures there on how much this is going to cost. I have additional information that I can provide you on how much each radio would cost. I can tell you that the line on attachment A that says a quantity of 27, and then it's a $5,265 figure per year, that would go substantially down because we don't plan to order 27 radios. That's kind of been adjusted as we've kind of gotten into this process.
How many radios will you ask for?
The numbers haven't been firmed up, but I think it's around 10 or 12, so less than half of that. Having this capability for any officer to contact our central control directly is going to enhance our collaboration opportunities with these outside agencies, which is very important. So, in conclusion on this, if you want more details, I'd be happy to answer any questions on how it might work. But in conclusion, it's going to, in my opinion, upgrade our communications capabilities, obviously, especially if we have somebody out on a transport and they have an inmate, or I'm sorry, they have a resident that they're transporting to an outside facility or picking one up from an outside facility and bring it back. If they have an issue, they can get on that radio, as long as I can work out an MOU with the Highway Patrol to where they can get on the State Mutual Aid channel group for that area and call and get immediate assistance, even if they don't have a cell signal. So I recommend that the board support and fund this endeavor, and I can answer any questions if you have any.
Questions from the trust?
Just real quick, the officers that you were speaking of, Rominger and Trooper Evans, correct?
Jeff Rominger and Matt Evans, yes.
Yeah. So oddly enough, Miss Perkins and I actually graduated. Grew up with Matt Evans. So
He's a
I
good
know
kid.
This is certainly something that was needed then, needed more now, and happy to support it. And thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion. Is there a second? Sir? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Thank you very much, Major. Appreciate it. Moved and seconded that we adopt this trunk key radio system. I assume that you've looked at this MOU and it's all hunky-dory. Great. Thank you very much, Mrs. Campisi. Call the roll. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is to receive information technology. Yes, Mr. Sherman.
I think maybe you skipped over item number 8.
You have number 8.
We struck
We scratched that because the contract wasn't ready. We
I'm
talked,
sorry, no. What was supposed to be the Summit contract,
it's not on the agenda.
I don't have
it shows it was on my agenda.
It's not on this agenda, which is the agenda.
Yeah.
It's attached where?
It's attached in the agenda, but he said it's not attached to an agenda item.
It was on number 7.
Number 7? It's on the chemical item. Great Caesars goes. We have to make this more.
Rod, can we even,
I don't know about this.
can we address that? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, we can't do this.
Sorry.
Nice try. Try harder next time. Okay, Mr. Opgren, you're filling in for Mr. Alma. Please
Yes,
come forward with the IT update.
yep, I will do this as my limited knowledge of IT infrastructure. I'll do my best.
Are you saying we have the wrong person representing Mr. Alba?
I would say the wrong person, but I'm certainly not as skilled as he is in this area.
That's a good answer.
Some of the update here for the first thing he wants to talk about is the mobile devices. The update on mobile devices is ongoing. We've been using them in the facility. Also, at the same time, we've been using the paper logs too. So we've got both of them going on right now. So then we can make sure that if anybody has any issues with the mobile devices, then we can always go back to the paper logs. So that way we have a secondary system that's still ongoing. I don't know when that's going to end, but right now they're doing both of those. Resident count, they're getting ready to test that. That is one thing that we are still doing by hand by doing the recon paperwork, but we're going to start testing that on the mobile devices as well. He said that's testing should begin really soon. Also, another thing they're going to be doing is doing the incident reporting. Also doing incident reports, fights, inmate on inmate, things like that they're going to report. That will also be getting ready to put those on the mobile devices as well. Again, they're testing floor by floor to allow individual engagement and training to make sure that the entire staff gets used to this. You've had some situations where some people may be not familiar with how to use the devices. Other people have been doing it the other way for so long. It takes a little while to get them up to speed on knowing how to do the mobile devices as well. But of course, a lot of the staff is getting really, from what I've been told, getting into it and really recognizing the system, how this is going to be saving time and a lot less energy to devote to doing paperwork as far as putting it on the mobile device and then moving on to your next activity. They're also live right now on site checks and meal delivery. So they are entering that information into the system right now. And then again, the next thing he was talking about, the justice system SharePoint. We have these SharePoints that we have set up for different groups. He says they are in discussions right now, and that is ongoing. So we're going to be having a meeting with the parties this month in order to make sure. And that's the system where it's going to allow us to put the PCs that come in will live on the SharePoint, so it gets it to the agency a lot quicker. And that's all that he had for his
Any
update.
questions for Mr. Opgren?
And if you do have any questions that specifically for him, I can get those questions to him.
No questions? Okay. Accept the motion to,
Motion to receive.
thank you very much. Is there a second? Yes?
Yes.
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 Next is the report. Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Advisory Citizens Committee. Is there someone representing them today? I don't see anybody. I know Speaker Steele's not here. So we'll move on from there. No report. The last item that we have in the public agenda is scheduling our next meeting, which is going to be on Monday, June 10th, 1 o'clock, unless something else happens that we don't know about in the interim. Anyone have any closing remarks before we move into executive session? Any comments on anything? Counselor? You avoid us like the plague publicly, don't you? I get it. All right. We'll move on. We'll have to enter in executive order in accordance with the Oklahoma Meetings Act.
Motion to recess for the
Thank you.
purposes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Campisi, call the roll.
There you go.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We are recessed.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll, Mrs. Campisi. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, on item 16, I would make a motion to enter into litigation and authorize our attorney to represent us.
As discussed. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to proceed and a second. Mrs. Campisi, call the roll, vote electronically. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item 17,
That would be,
actually no action.
That's a motion to proceed.
Oh, that's a
as
motion to
discussed.
proceed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm getting
No, it's fine.
confused.
Oh, sorry, I need to push the button.
Is there a motion?
Motion to proceed as discussed.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Mrs. Campisi, please call the roll, vote electronically. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Item 18, no action. If I remember correctly,
You do.
you may proceed as requested. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. Thank you for your attendance today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Have a motion. Is there a second? Thank you. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you all. We are adjourned.